Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Anastasio with AARP New Jersey, and I want to welcome you to AARP's live conversation on fraud and scams. Earlier today, AARP hosted a webinar called Inside the Mind of a Master Con Artist: How to Protect Yourself Online. We were joined by participants from New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. As a follow-up to that conversation, we are going live right now with our special guest and dark web expert, Brett Johnson. Brett pioneered areas of online fraud and is referred to as the original Internet Godfather by the Secret Service. He has been a central figure in the cybercrime world for more than 20 years. After spending time in prison, he has finally took responsibility for his actions and now works as a security consultant and speaker across the world to help others protect themselves from the type of man that he used to be. Brett will address some of the most frequently asked questions from our conversation earlier today and answer your additional questions this evening. If you have a question for Brett tonight, please type it into the comment section and we will do our best to get to it. Brett, thank you so much for being with us this evening. We're looking forward to a really great conversation and you letting our participants know how to protect themselves online.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you once again for inviting me in. I truly do appreciate it.
Great. So, Brett, you built and ran the first organized crime community. You were on the United States Most Wanted list, captured and convicted of 39 felonies, and sent to prison for more than 7 years. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got your start in the dark web and what you're doing now?
Well, I would say that I came by it naturally. I began my life of crime, as I mentioned earlier today. I began my life of crime at the age of 10, supporting me and my sister stealing food when mom was gone. Mom found out we were shoplifting. She starts running us as little shoplifters. Either we would steal stuff for her or we would be distractions as she and my grandmother went out shoplifting. As I got older, I got more involved in the types of fraud and crime that my mother and that side of the family committed. So I grew up being instilled with this criminal mindset. So by the time I do branch off on my own and enter into cybercrime, into internet crime, I have a pretty strong background in the way fraud works, the way crime works, that type of criminal mindset. But not only that, the idea of social engineering. So what you find out with most cyber criminals is that social engineers start when they're young. We become social engineers because we need to survive. We need to know what the adults around us are thinking, and we need to be able to manipulate those adults in order to just survive. Then as we get older, we use those tools we've acquired for survival in order to commit crime. And that's exactly what I did.
Well, you definitely have had quite the journey to get where you are today. Why do you think that cybercrime is so prevalent today? And how do you think the dark web is evolving?
One of the reasons it's so prevalent, and just to give you some numbers. So the group that I ran, Shadow Crew, was shut down October 26, 2004. We ended with 4,000 members. July 5th, 2017, a website called Alphabay was shut down. At that point in time, it was the largest criminal network on the planet. It ended with 240,000 members, one website. Last year, worldwide law enforcement shut down another website. It had 1.15 million registered criminals on that site. So these numbers do continue to grow. Why do they continue to grow? One of the reasons is that cybercrime has evolved to the point that anyone can enter into being a criminal with very little knowledge, very little ability on how to break the law. You can go to a dark website, a forum. You can buy a tutorial for $50 that will teach you step-by-step how to commit a specific type of crime. If you're not comfortable with the tutorial, there are live classes. You can pay a master criminal $600 for a 6-week course, and he will walk you through, take your hand, walk you through step-by-step how to commit one specific type of crime. And it comes with a guarantee. If you don't make money on my program, I'll refund your tuition. And they mean that. So that's what cybercrime looks like these days. You don't have to know anything in order to go in and start breaking the law, in order to start profiting. Not only that, but the system that I built back with Shadow Crew, that of free information, of exchanging information and ideas, of everyone learning from each other, that's still alive and well within these criminal communities. So that's one of the reasons that cybercrime continues to just explode with these numbers higher and higher and higher. And it's going to continue to go on, especially right now with COVID, with the election process, everything else that's going on. Times are so strange right now. You know, we're so desperate because of COVID. You've got 40 million Americans out of work. You've got the government that's anxious to get people who need money. They're anxious to get them money. Because of that desperation that's going on, you see more and more criminals, more now than ever, that are entering in trying to victimize people or institutions. Now, as far as what the dark web is doing these days, we're seeing that most criminals are migrating to smaller and smaller encrypted messaging channels. So it used to be you'd go to a large marketplace and you could buy drugs there or credit card information and things like that. You can still do that. But the most experienced criminals right now are migrating to smaller and smaller messaging services like Telegram, Wicker, Discord, Jabber, things like that, WhatsApp.
Absolutely. And I know you talked a lot this earlier today too about that trust in technology probably lending itself to let more people that are on their phones, on their email, especially right now during coronavirus, it lends itself to scammers and some of that cybercrime. So I do want to remind our viewers to put your questions in the comment section and we'll do our best to answer them live. On our webinar today, we received numerous questions about the password manager that you mentioned. Can you tell our viewers why they should use a password manager? Some of the comments we got isn't it like putting all your eggs in one basket? Are there any safety concerns that password managers will get hacked? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So let's just be completely forthright about this. Some password managers have been hacked. All right. They are not 100% secure. That being said, they are far more secure than anything else you're using other than maybe a USB key. And I don't think that any of our listeners out there use a USB and a physical token in order to do that. So barring that, a password manager is the most secure thing you can use. And here's why. We are never taught what a secure password looks like. We go to a website. There's a graph on the website. It starts with weak and it ends with strong. It says use so many characters, uppercase, lowercase, throw in a few symbols, and you start doing that, and it says weak, weak, weak. You keep changing it till the point where it says strong, and you're like, strong, yes. No idea what made it strong. Not a clue, not a clue. So then we use that, and maybe we use that password across multiple websites. And here's the secret. I mentioned this today. 80% of every single person on the planet, including this guy, uses the same password across multiple websites. We're lazy. I'm lazy. I'm the guy who used to steal all the information. And I still use the same password across multiple websites. Of course, not for the important websites, more what I call the trash websites. That's just me. So, but if you're using the same password, here's the problem with that. If you're using the same password, phishing accounts for 92% of every attack that's out there. Those fake emails that you get that look like they come from bank accounts and everything like that, that phishing attack is 92%. So if you're using the same password, I may send out a phishing email that looks like it comes from Chase or Washington Mutual, which isn't even around anymore, or Wells Fargo or something like that. And you'd look at it and you'd say, that's that Brett Johnson. He's trying to steal my information. And you'd say to yourself, that's a phishing email. I'm not going to fall for that. But, so your level of awareness is pretty high. But if I send out that phishing email, and I'm going to use the exact same example because I like that example. If I send out a phishing email that comes from, say, Hulu, is your level of awareness going to be as high? No, it's not. It's not. You're going to look at that and you're going to say, Hulu? Does anyone even watch Hulu? I mean, the only thing they've got's The Handmaid's Tale. First season good, second season not. So, but the problem is if you use the same password and login, what it is, it's an automated program. This is what's called credential stuffing. There's an actual term for this. So I send out a phishing email from something that you're not paying attention to, knowing that 80% of everyone on the planet uses the same password and login across multiple websites. So I send out that Hulu email. You respond to that and give me your password and log into Hulu. I go to sleep at night. It's an automated program. I take your password and log in, and it automatically plugs into tens of thousands of websites while I sleep. I wake up the next morning. There's a nice little printout there that I'm looking at that tells me every single website that you've used the same password and login on. So now I've got not just your Hulu and your Netflix, but I've got your credit report, your credit cards, your bank account, your tax records, your email logins, everything across the board at that point. From there, it's extremely easy for me to pull whatever I need to as far as your identity goes, and do whatever I want to your credit, to your person at that point. And I want you guys to understand that once you're a victim of identity theft, once you're a victim of cybercrime, it doesn't stop. Okay. A cyber criminal tends to specialize in one specific type of fraud. So once he says, say he uses your information to order new credit cards, or he uses your information to apply for a HELOC loan, once he does that, he's done with you. He throws that information away. He doesn't worry about you anymore. But all those cyber criminals in line behind him, they're going to use it for something else, until finally you have no credit worthiness whatsoever, and it's not even over them. Then they start using your information to put it on a fake ID and go out to commit other types of crimes. So this is something that you really have to watch for, and a lot of it starts with these passwords. You have to have strong passwords. We're not taught how to do that. You may think that you're choosing a random password. You're not. You're not. Human beings are not random. So you have to rely on a program to do that. A password manager does that for you. You only have to remember one major password. Most of these password managers, the password list that they have is encrypted, meaning that the criminal would need to break the encryption. Not going to happen, okay? Not going to happen. So just understand that the best answer we have right now is a password manager. I don't care which one you use. I'm not going to give you names. Just look them up. Most of them are very good, okay? And you'll be fine. Much better than you are now.
Thank you, Brett. And I think that's a really good segue into another question that we received more than once earlier today. If someone receives a phishing email, what should they do? Can they or should they be doing anything beyond just deleting the email?
Yes. So the first thing you do is you don't respond to the email. You don't click on anything else like that. You also need to report it to IC3, Internet Criminal Crime Center. Now, that is what it stands for. So you need to report it to there as well. That way they can keep a catalog of all these phishing emails that are coming through. Always, while you may think, the thing is cybercrime, one of the reasons it succeeds is because people don't report the crime that's happening. So, we get our credit cards compromised, and it's not just you guys. I was compromised like 4 or 5 times last year. Everybody gets hit. Everybody gets hit. So your credit card gets compromised, you call the bank, you take care of it. All right, the bank cancels the card, they refund the money, you're happy, everything's just fine. But how many people out there actually go the step further and report that compromise, that crime, to law enforcement or to IC3? Very few do that. What I need everyone to do is to report it to law enforcement. Law enforcement, believe you me, they are here to help people. I didn't know that for a long time. Turns out when you stop breaking the law enforcement gets pretty friendly. They turn out to be pretty good guys. So, but I need you to report these crimes, because if you don't report it, what it does is it signals to every criminal that's online that they're going to get away with those crimes, and they will. So I need you to report. We need to put these people behind bars. I'm a firm believer that if you're an adult breaking the law, a good stint in prison will do you good. It did me good. It's beneficial. It really is, across the board. So report these crimes.
Thank you, Brett. So we have a few questions from our listeners today as well. Beatrice from New York would like to know, how difficult is it to protect yourself if you are not computer savvy? Should they use a service that promises to protect them?
Okay, so Beatrice, here's the thing. All right, a lot of people think that if they don't have an online presence, if they don't, I don't do any online banking, or I don't have any online accounts, a lot of people think that makes them safer. I'm going to tell you that it makes you less safe. Okay, and here's why. If you don't have an online bank, and I don't care if you use it or not, but I want you to register for it, okay? That's the key. I want you to register. I don't care if you use it, just register for it. And here's why. If you've not registered for one, someone like I used to be, I can register in your name, okay? So you've got to say you've got a Chase Bank account. You've not registered for online access. I could steal your identity. I could register for online access in your name. Then I cancel the card that you've got in your pocket or in your purse. I cancel that card. I order a replacement card sent to an address that I control. And then I start charging things on your credit card. All right. You realize that something's wrong. You go to contact the bank. Here's the problem. I've registered using your information because you don't have an online presence. I've registered and I've been using that online access. To the bank, I look more legitimate than you do at that point. So you're going to have a lot of problems canceling the card or convincing the bank you're who you say you are. You're going to have to actually probably go into a physical bank at that point and prove you're who you are who you say you are. Okay. So that's the number one thing. Register for these accounts. I don't care if you use them. Just register it. That way a criminal can't do that. That's your bank accounts. That's for your credit report. That is for your utilities. That's also for Social Security. So anybody out there that's collecting Social Security, if you've not registered for myssa.gov, before you go to sleep tonight, do that. Please, please do that, because I want to tell you that is wide open. A criminal to go in and divert those Social Security benefits to an account that he controls, that's wide open right now. So I want you guys to protect yourself on that. For accounts overall, I like people to have control of their own security. Okay, I really like that. But here's the problem. That means monitoring every single account that you've got, your bank account, your credit card, your credit report, your tax records, your email accounts, your merchant logins, and a lot of things that aren't even in my head right now. So you have to monitor all that stuff. What tends to happen is when you start doing it, you're really diligent. You are on the ball. You're like checking that stuff all the time. You're like, yeah, none of these criminals are going to get me. Yeah, I've got them down. Yes, sir. You're not going to victimize me. But 3 to 6 months of that, you kind of get tired. You're like, I don't need to do that today. I'll wait until tomorrow. I'll wait until the next day. And you forget about it. We tend to get, things get boring after a while. Everything gets boring after a while. So what that causes is that gap when you're not diligent. That's where a criminal comes in and starts to work right there. So that gap used to be really small when you're really diligent. But now that you've got a little tired and things are heading toward chaos and falling apart, and it's getting farther and farther before you check those accounts, that gap is exactly where that criminal works right there. A protection company, and there are some good ones out there. I'm not going to name names, but an identity theft protection company never gets tired. It's all automated. They've got all these programs out there trying to help you, trying to make sure that those accounts are not compromised. And if they are, you get a warning about that, or they get a warning and they can take care of it for you. So try to take care of your own security. I want you to do that as much as you possibly can. But it's not a bad idea sometimes to have one of these companies that will help you out with that as well. Just make sure that the company that you choose has not been, on the receiving end of a bunch of class action lawsuits because they've not been treating their customers right. So make sure you do due diligence in choosing one. Okay.
That's great advice, Brett. So another question that came in is from Michael. Would you use a password manager that keeps your information on the cloud or your own device?
Oh, that's a good question, Michael. That's a good question. I like a password manager that keeps it on your own device. Okay, that's what I like. Now, I appreciate you asking that, because there are some password managers that are cloud-based. There are some that are device-based. I personally like the idea of my passwords being on my device and they're encrypted on my device. And the reason I like that is a criminal, he may have access to that cloud. I like the idea of it being on my device so that I can turn my device off if I want to. My device is off, he's not going to access it. Not only that, but he's going to have to break into my device at the same time. And if I'm controlling I just feel more comfortable controlling my device. Okay, I just feel more comfortable. It's that Eastern Kentucky mentality of mine. I like to know that the stuff that I own is within arm's reach. That's just me.
Absolutely. Mary would like to know if a VPN is necessary for an iPhone.
It is not. It is not. A VPN is what a VPN does is it keeps people from snooping as to where you're going. All right, that's what it keeps. It keeps it's called a man-in-the-middle attack. It keeps that type of stuff from happening. It makes sure that the connection is secure for a lot of these VPNs as well. A VPN is a great thing. It is not 100% secure. There have been white papers and things written about how VPNs can be compromised. I do like a VPN. I do like a VPN. just watch on which one you use. Okay, so Nord is great. I personally use Nord myself. And I shouldn't have said the name. I apologize about that. But Nord is not the only one. There are some outstanding VPNs out there. Just find one and use it. You don't have to, but it doesn't hurt. All right. I like the idea, because most VPNs are not very expensive. I like the idea of using stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money, or that is free. There are even some free VPNs out there you can use. Okay.
Absolutely. And so, Brett, there was a question about how to keep your computer safe from ransomware. Could you talk a little bit more about that? I know, we're not going to say what type of computer or anything like that to use, because, that gets a little more into the nitty gritty, but how does one protect themselves and their computer from ransomware?
So ransomware, what that is for you to be infected with ransomware, it has to be installed on your system. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about ransomware is when ransomware first appeared, it targeted consumers. It really did. It didn't target companies, it targeted consumers. Then, as criminals understood how much money they could actually make, it started targeting companies and cities and hospitals and all these other institutions. And it's still doing that today. But we're starting to see this curve come back to consumers, because a lot of companies, a lot of cities, a lot of educational systems, hospitals, all that, they understand they need to protect themselves against ransomware. So it's starting to go back to consumers, because while the money's not a lot, it's not nowhere near a hospital, it is easier to get, and consumers aren't very good about protecting themselves. So what I need you to do is I need you to back up everything. All right, that's number one. Backups, backups, backups. If you have a computer, a laptop, what have you, and it's got all your wedding pictures on there, or all your children's pictures on there, and it's locked down with ransomware, and those are the only copies of those pictures that you've got, how much would you pay for those? That becomes the question. What is that information worth to you? Do you lose it forever, or do you pay $500, $1,000, maybe sometimes $50 to get it back? That's why ransomware works. People don't back up their systems. They don't back up those pictures. So I need you to back up what's important to you on the computer. Not everything. You don't have to back up everything, but what's important to you. All right, that's number one. Number two, I need you to understand that ransomware is installed through a variety of ways. It's installed through phishing attacks. All right, someone sends you a phishing email that says, and it may look like it's an email from a friend or a family member of yours and wanting you to click on a link. No. There's no need to click on links. There's no need. If a link is there from your bank, don't click on that. If it's there from Social Security Administration, the IRS, the Sheriff's Department, your son, daughter, friend, I don't care who, there's a link in there. No. If it's from a family member or friend, pick up the phone. Hey, did you send this to me? What is it? Do I need to click on it? Okay. As long as you're telling me it's all right. Okay. Then you can